Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another Modern Magazines, because this time I'm going to be having a look at Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer number 2. Now, I know I've covered the first issue last week, and I may dip back into this, but from this issue on, the price has gone from $1.99 for the first one, $4.99 for this one, up to $8.99. So I'll only be picking up issues if the free gift, this week, again dice, are worth the extra cost. Because the magazine itself is only a few pages and I don't think it's worth it. But anyway, let's go over to the desktop and have a look at Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer issue 2. So, this is Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer issue number 2. Now, it's by Hatchette Partworks, which I have since discovered is because they don't publish magazines. They publish larger works which you get in parts. So, their name actually makes some sense. Now, this issue was $4.99. The first issue was $1.99 and you got a fairly interesting magazine and dice in a nice presentation tin, which was definitely made it a must-buy. For that price, I thought it was absolutely great. $4.99 for some dice in a plastic bag, plus a fairly interesting magazine and a couple other things. I was torn a bit by this. The next issue, when it's $8.99 and you're only getting some flat plastic printed miniatures of the player characters they gave away in issue 1, I don't think that's going to be a buy at all. Issue 4, you're getting the magazine plus a dice bag and a giant D20 for $8.99. I don't think so, but you never know. If I'm in somewhere that sells it, I might pick it up. But I think issue 3 is definitely a no-no. It's the gift which is going to get it, because there's just not enough in the magazine to justify the massive price. Now, the back is basically just advertising the magazine. There's not really much information on there. It does mention that the future issues are $8.99. Inside, we've got the magazine, we've got a booklet about the run of the magazine, we've got a map, and we've got the dice. So let's discard that, even though it has a fairly nice faded image of a beholder, if you can make it through the plastic bag there. So, let's start with the dice. Well, these are supposedly gold dice. If I can open the Ziploc bag. They just look yellow to me. If I hold one up closer to the camera, you can see perhaps there's a bit of glitter in there to add a swirl of colour. But they're nothing special. They're basically just gem dice with some glitter in them. They're alright. They feel a bit heavier in the hand than the last lot. The last lot of dice from issue 1 felt particularly cheap, but these aren't bad. I have to say that they're a bit strange. As most gamers will know, the sides of a dice are supposed to add up to 1 plus the size of the dice. So this is a d6. So the opposite sides, 1 and 6, add to 7. 4 and 3 add to 7. Now this is fairly standard for most dice. If I can avoid dropping them. We've got 12 and 5, 17. What? 1 and 7, 8. 11 and 6, 17. They don't add up. 1 and 8 is 9. Okay. 0 and 9 is 9. But the 0 is usually read as a 10. So I can accept that one, but just some of the dice are printed a bit oddly. The 20 is absolutely fine, but they're alright. It's not like they don't have the right number of sides. They're just printed a bit differently to most dice. My wife suggested that perhaps they bought them as a bulk lot cheap somewhere as misprinted dice. I'll put the magazine and go over that last. We've got talking about what you get with the different ones. So issue 3 will come with those flat printed miniatures. They say they're miniatures. I really don't think they are. And issue 4 comes with a bag and a giant D20, although I'm not sure how big giant will be. And it just goes over the ordinary stuff. If you subscribe, then you're going to get a dice tray, you're going to get a dice jail, you're going to get a Dungeon Master screen, you're going to get binders with future issues. I'll put that to the side. I've got a map, which is useful in the adventure, but I'm unfolding it. Here's kind of giant map of Neverwinter Wood. We've got various places marked on it. You know, the Elven Crypt Ruined Villa, which you used in the adventure, I believe. But it's nice stuff. The map itself is card, not just paper, so very well done. That would be very usable in the future. And then we've got the magazine. So there's not a little... in the first issue they gave a smaller booklet, which was a guide to combat, with special binder staples on it. And for rules, I thought that was useful. But they don't seem to be going ahead with that, or perhaps it's only going to be a rarer thing. But inside, move stuff to the side slightly, you've got advantage, disadvantage, and inspiration. So talking through these elements of the rules. How bardic inspiration is different. Rule of cool is a rule within the game. Something I must talk about in the future, how virtual tabletops don't really account for the rule of cool, even though Dungeons & Dragons does treat it as a proper rule. Anyway, resting and hit dice. Downtime helps adventurers regain their strength and recharge their abilities. Talks through short rests and long rests. We've got spellcasting explained, how spell slots work. Spell levels, using spells, anatomy of spells, what components, and the duration. We've got concentration dealt with, and rituals. Preparing wizard and cleric spells. Talking about those, rest and recharge. Then going on to humans. Human endeavours. They're short-lived in comparison to species and creatures such as dwarves, elves, and dragons. They strive to achieve much as they can in the years they're given. Broad spectrum, talking about how they're versatile. That's probably a 3rd edition term. Famous humans. What have we got here? Talking through the rogue, skill and progression. Rogue overview, the language of thieves. Rogues in the realms. And then rogue features. At first level, they've got sneak attack. Obviously, this will build out in future issues. Sneak attack damage. Different rogue weapons that they use. Then we've got a basic introduction to the Forgotten Realms. The continent of Faerun. Other continents of the realms. Lands of adventure. Faerun's distant lands. It does mention Zakara in there. The Underdark. But it's not really going into many of the other ones. Oh, we've got Karatur mentioned. So we're not really going into all of the areas, but they are getting a mention. And then we've got the short adventure, the encounter as they call it, the Forgotten Vault. So you get introduced, a retired adventurer that tells you of a vault. He gives you a map, and you're going to be travelling there through the trapdoor and exploring it. This time we've got a juvenile mimic, we've got animated armour as new monsters, descriptions of all the different rooms, and then we've got a very nice image of a hand-drawn map, where they are to find, or what's in the vault itself. So, there's some nice stuff in there. $4.99 is perhaps a little rich for what you're getting, but it's decent enough. A nice short encounter, definitely one you could throw beginning players at. It's a nice introduction to Dungeons & Dragons, but I don't see much of use to more advanced players, or players who have even played a couple of times. But it's a nice introduction to D&D, which I think is kind of its job. But anyway, I think I've whittled on for quite long enough as usual. So thank you very much for watching, as always. But most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.